It's Friday, February 21st, and it's time for your weekly recap. Miles from Facebook, question for weekly recap about restaurant magic. Hey Chris, can you recommend any good tricks for table hopping? Thanks, hope to hear from you. Well, I can tell you what I use when I go table hopping. First and foremost is the ambitious card. I love that trick because it's so versatile. You can do so many different variations on it and you can kind of be jazzy about it. Certain tables will like it one way better than another way, so there's a lot of room to play there, and I like that. Sponge rabbits I use all the time. Frayed knot I use a lot. Ransom I use a lot, and unshuffled I use a lot. I'm Aru! If you had a son who wanted to be a magician, would you tell him all of your secrets? Smiley face, big smiley face with a little nose. I kind of have mixed feelings on this because part of being a magician is going out and finding material and learning things on your own and working for it. The other side of it is that magic is an art that's sort of been passed down, and there are a lot of generational magicians who, father, son, grandfather, all did magic. I think I'd probably do a mix. I'd teach him some stuff and then have him go out and find things and learn things and try and trick me, and we kind of have a back and forth sort of game sort of thing. But right now my son is 4 and he has more of an interest in making swords than doing magic tricks. And my other son is 8 months and he has more interest in chewing on his fingers. I should try that. I might take up this instead of magic. Dan from Twitter, hey Chris, how would you go about getting hired by a restaurant to perform table to table, and what charges are good for it? It's gonna be sort of a case-by-case basis. The best thing you can do when you go into a restaurant is figure out for the restaurant owner or the manager why they would want you there. Is it to bring in more people? Is it to keep people in line at a busy restaurant so that they don't wander off? You have to know exactly the reason that they're gonna hire you, because they're not gonna really know what to do with you. It's kind of an odd thing to have a magician in your place of business. The money thing's kind of weird though, because I've gotten paid to do restaurant work, but I've also done restaurant work just for tips and a free meal. It's not gonna be the same rate that you would charge for normal walk around though, because you're doing it on a weekly basis. You're kind of paying for that stability by not charging them a ridiculous amount of money. The one thing that you definitely want to get though is that free food. Gotta get that free food. Right, Avalon? He knows what I'm talking about. Devin, dear Chris, when I'm out with my friends, they will put me on the spot to do a cool trick. I carry a deck, but they have already seen the tricks. Any other small packet tricks? Thanks, smiley face. Well, first off, I think there's an infinite amount of card tricks that you could do. So if you get yourself a good book like Road to Card Magic or the Card College series or a good DVD, that's gonna expand what you're able to do with a deck of cards. That being said, some other things that you could carry around with you. Ransom is a great trick. Inner Circle is fantastic, and there's going to be a lot more things that you can do with Inner Circle than just one trick. So after they've seen that, you've got more to build off of. Coin and Bottle's another great one because you get multiple tricks out of that. And the linking mints is another great thing to add to your repertoire because it uses something that everyone's familiar with and it's easy to get into. Okay, let's talk about Nothing But the Truth. This is a great trick to be talking about today because we're talking about restaurant magic, and I think that's the best environment for this particular trick. In this effect, you've got a packet of cards, which is your lie detector, and you ask the spectators about a card that they selected. Every time they lie to you, it comes up lie. Every time they tell the truth, it comes up true. And then at the very end, all the cards that you're holding in your hand change into the selected card. The trick itself is virtually self-working. He gives you a few different handling options. One's really easy, one's a little bit more advanced, but nothing too difficult, all standard stuff. The custom printed cards are beautiful. The DVD's excellent. This is a great trick if you want to sort of break the ice with your audience and have them open up to you, because they're lying, they're telling the truth, you're getting to know them, you can make little quips about it. It's a fun routine, and I know you're gonna have a blast with this. This is called Nothing But the Truth. You can get it at magicgeek.com. Casella, hey Chris, can you do the Harlem Shake?
Con los terroristas.
The Harlem Shake.
you catch the most attention in a restaurant? Smiley face. Doing the Harlem Shake. There's a few techniques to kind of catch people's attention. One would be using a fire trick. If the restaurant allows you to use a fire trick, that's going to do really well. Another great technique is to start off on a table that's already excited and having a good time. You go to that table, you get them even more excited, make it about them, have some big reaction tricks, do your hard-hitting material for them. And if they are loud enough and looking like they're having a good enough time, it makes it so much easier to go to the next table, and then they're already worked up, and it's just sort of this wave that you can ride throughout the whole night of your restaurant set. Ricky Magician. Chris, people know that I'm a magician and they like what I do. They ask me to do a or repeat trick very often, but sometimes I don't have time to do one or can't remember a trick to do. How do I say no? Well, first off, you're in a position that I feel like a lot of magicians would envy. If people are coming up to you and asking to see a trick, you should show them a trick. I mean, that's a great opportunity. Unless the scenario that you're in, like you're in class or whatever, or a board meeting and you'd get in trouble, show them a trick. I would get into the mindset of, I'm always gonna do a trick. If you have to say no, you can just say, I'm not in the mood right now. But you should do a trick. The Blue Flamingo. My mom always yells at me when I bring a deck of cards to a restaurant. What do I do? 4-nose smiley face with a soul patch. Thanks. Well, first off, I think you should do what your parents tell you to do. I think that's an important part of life and growing up. Secondly, if you got something like Inner Circle or something that doesn't look like a card trick, that might actually work out better for you in a restaurant setting. You could bend spoons, you could do things with sugar packets, you can make things move, you can cause things to vanish. If you're like me and you just have to do magic, find a way to do magic in the scenario that you're in with the limitations that you have. Your mom's giving you a limitation. Don't bring cards to a restaurant. Find stuff that you can do magic with at the restaurant. Until she yells at you about that stuff, then stop doing that. Okay, so last week I mentioned that we were going to have a video contest, and for some reason YouTube deleted some of the comments. Might have been my fault, maybe, I don't know. So I'm extending it another week, which is great because that means that a few of you who didn't enter the contest have a chance to enter the video contest. Here's how it works. All you have to do is perform a trick that I invented. Any Chris Ballinger trick, you perform it on camera, post it up on YouTube, take the URL or the web address, copy it, paste it into the comment section to this video or last week's recap. Either one will work, you don't have to put it on both. I will look at them, and next week I will have the finalists and we'll have our voting session, and what you're playing for is an awesome surprise that I'm not gonna tell you. Ha! Ha! It's a surprise. So you're just gonna have to be patient and be surprised by the surprise. Well, that's all the time we have for this week. Thank you very much for watching the weekly recap. And remember, this show is based all on your questions and your comments. So be sure to leave a question or comment down below in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube. You can also leave them on our Facebook, Twitter, or Magic Geek blog posts. You can comment there as well. Next week's topic is going to be predictions. So write your questions or comments about predictions, and who knows, they might end up in next week's episode. I'll see you next week.